And good evening and welcome to our program Impact 2024. And I'm glad that you're here to share with us. Uh, Normally, Nathaniel is with you. Whoa, okay. Uh, but he is he will be with us hopefully soon. Oh, there we go. All right. I was seeing something on the screen and it just blew my mind. But anyway, he should be here. But we're going to go ahead and get started. As you know, with yeah, he rolling in now. All right.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, as always, welcome to Impact 2024, our continuing conversation, where we talk about all different types of topics from race, religion, current events, anything that you can think of. And as we always say, add your opinions and your comments to the conversation. You can do that by typing them into the comment section. And so please feel free to be a part of the conversation. If there's something that you want to say it by typing it in. If there's a question that you want to ask it. Or if you think that something that we're saying up here is crazy, say that too. Again, this is a safe place. It's where everybody has an opportunity to give their opinions. And in a world, in a society that we have now where it's often not safe to be able to say it, you can say it here. All right. If you were here last week, or around last week, we talked about the good old state of Texas. And we went through some housing, some things about housing. Talked about also their library situation, their education situation, but we talked about housing and some other things like that. We're hitting back to Texas again. They just got a lot of stuff going on. And so in Texas right now, they have a program that they've set up. And what they want to do is they are going for a similar problem that is across the country, homelessness. And so they have an approach and an opportunity to try to curb homelessness. And the way that they're doing it is that they have a program that was based on a program that came from the current president, from 2021, where they were giving money towards being able to help out with homelessness. And what they're doing with this particular program is that they're putting $20 million towards giving people a minimum living wage. And so in Houston, more specifically in Harris County, they're giving $500 a month to people who are 200% below the federal poverty line. So if you know how that works, it's a little bit, weird, but the poverty line right now is in the $20,000 range, depending on how you look at it, and then you have to be 200% below that particular level. So you and I, most likely, if you're listening to this, are not going to be at that line. I wouldn't be at that line. We also probably not in Texas. But if you are in that county in Texas and you're 200% below the poverty level, you will get that $500 minimum. And so what they said and what their research has shown is that if you are able to give people that $500 minimum, it's going to help curb some of the worst particular situations of homelessness. So $500 a month. Now, this program has not started. Just to be clear, it doesn't start until it's supposed to start this month, April 2024. It's, of course, it's in court right now because there's some politicians who are for it and some who are against it. And so the governor of Texas was asked to take a look at it and pause the program before they go into it. So why are we talking about it? We're talking about it because one of the things that we've been talking about recently, and again, one of the biggest issues out here in the whole entire country is housing, affordable housing, homelessness. Is this the route to go? Is this going to be effective? Is this something that we should be looking towards and saying, oh, that's a great idea? And it's more personal opinion than anything else because you really don't know. Now, you look at it from a Christian standpoint, you know, if you're going to be 200% below the poverty line, you most likely are not going to be working. That's a tough one to do, especially in different places. You either have to have a job that pays very low, below the minimum wage, or you're not working, or you're working part-time. So in order to get that type of money, you can't really have a steady income. And so $500 a month. So you have the detractors on one end, and then you have the people who are advocates for it. So let's start with the advocates. The advocates for the $500, they're saying, all right, listen, you give people that little bit of amount, $500, and that's where they can pull it together, and that will help them in their transition of not being homeless. Maybe you can have an opportunity to be able to pay for some medicine, be able to pay for some temporary housing when it comes to getting into a hotel or a transitional hotel. If multiple people are together, you know, two guys, husband and wife, you know, some friends, whatever, you know, you get people together, they can pool their money together, they may be able to find themselves somewhere to live. But that $500 a month will curb some of the levels of homelessness. And if somebody is working, that 500 will put them, you know, the extra 500 a month could put them in a situation of where they're able to provide and get themselves off of the street. Now, you have the detractors who are going to say $500 a month isn't enough. It isn't anything. Of course, they go to some of the stereotypes and they say, well, those people are there because, you know, they make poor decisions. And so giving them $500 is not going to help with their decisions. Or they're just going to use it for drugs or some other illicit activity. And so then the detractors will say it's a waste of time and it's a waste of effort. And those basically are the two different opinions. Here goes a comment. Given that the average rent is $1,200, not certain how it would be in Texas, what will $500 do? And that's the concern. What will $500 do? You know, this program. Now the good part about it is the program's already paid for. The money came from the federal government. So at the end of the day, people in Texas who are going back and forth about whether or not, you know, they should send out the money. It's paid for, so it doesn't really matter. So you can send it out the door anyway. But the reality of the matter is, how is that going to get you any housing? How is that going to help out? And so then there's the other point. Instead of sending $500 to each individual, should we take that money and empower, not incentivize, but empower different agencies, churches, programs, who would be able to put that money with other money, pool it together, and help out people in the community. That's one of the complaints going on about my current approach to homelessness, is that we do put it in big agencies, big state agencies, or big organizations, when we should be putting it in smaller organizations in the communities, because they can actually touch the people and get people in a situation. So small and local organizations, small and local churches, not large organizations, because the larger you get, sometimes the less you're touching from, the less you're right there into the individual day-to-day activities. And so $500 minimum wage, or minimum living wage, is what they're calling it. And the program, it's going to last until the money is out. Now, it lasts for 18 months. That's what they're going to do. So you get $500 every month, 18 months, and that's going to hopefully raise you out of poverty. Yeah. I can hear some people now right now. Again, most of the people who are going to qualify for this are people who are not working, and I can hear the people now. Well, the word says, uh, you don't work, you don't eat. You know, and people can go there, and so there are folk who say we shouldn't hand out to anyone. You shouldn't just get a handout. You need to earn it. That whole thing of you give a man a fish, he eats for the day, and you teach a man to fish, and he can eat for the rest of his life. Um, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of things you need. You can teach a man to fish. Does he have a rod? Does he have worms or bait? Does he live near the water? Yeah, there's a lot of things there. And even if you got fish, how you gonna cook it? And so sometimes I think we kind of get bent out of shape with that whole knowledge versus giving people things. It's hard to read a book when you're hungry. It's hard to focus when you're hungry. And that's what some of the school programs do, is that they make sure that the kids can eat and have a nice meal and everything like that, so they can be able to focus on their studies. And I know we're kind of getting away from what it is, but the argument of let's not give people anything, give them a handout because it's going to make them lazy, or we know that they're going to just blow it, or they're going to use it on drugs. That's a big assumption, and I don't get on board with that. Just because of the fact that you don't know what it's going to be. That $500 could be the thing that's going to put them over the top. Or that $500 could be a complete waste of time. They're going to go to 7-Eleven. I don't know if they have 7-Eleven in Texas, but go to whatever the corner store is and buy $500 worth of lottery tickets. That's going to be a terrible idea. That's a terrible plan, but somebody will probably do it. So yeah, there's a good possibility that's going to be a waste of time and a waste of money for a lot of folks. But I think for those individuals who they can use it, they're right there at the cusp, they just need a little bit of help, I think that $500 will go a significantly long way. And one of the most important things I believe, and this is just me personally, one of the most important things I believe is that when you're in the struggle, sometimes you just need a moment to not be struggling. Because if you're constantly struggling, you don't have a moment to think or plan. And so that $500 may be able to give some people a moment where they can stop just struggling, sit back for a moment, and then look at their situation and make a good idea, make a good plan, have a moment just to breathe. So you're making decisions based on just necessity. Well, I got this $500. I can eat. My family can eat. We can sit back and look and say, let's do this or let's do that, instead of just being stressed and just running. So I think that's an opportunity there. I really do. And so for 18 months, you're getting $500, 18 months, you may have an opportunity to come up with a good plan because you just have a new source of income. Comment. Christians still have to deal with Matthew 25. When I was hungry, you fed me. And that's where it comes down to. At the end of the day, I think that's a very good one, because for the people who are going to sit back and say, no handouts, no, you need to teach them how to, fish on their own. They need to, be able to get whatever, they got to work. We're providing for people who are not working and whatnot. Our duty and our job is to take care of those who are hungry, who are without. And so regardless of their situation, whether they put themselves there as people will think, or they were put there or whatever, because 500, and that's what it says. We have to, if we're as Christians, I think we have to deal with it. We have to deal with it in a different light. Doesn't matter if you're working or not. It doesn't matter how you got into the situation. If you are 200% below the federal poverty line, and you can use this $500, let's just give it to you. Our job as Christians is to make sure that we take care of folk, and not to block. I think not to block people from getting any kind of help. It doesn't do us any good to block folk from getting assistance. I've heard this before, and can't remember exactly where I heard it, but I know that there's some groups who they don't want the government helping people out, or they don't want other organizations helping them out. They only want the church helping out. And unfortunately, that means you're blocking other people you're blocking other ways of them getting blessed and assistance. Um, and that for the selfishness or whatever. I don't know what the reason is. After Jesus preached to the 5,000, he told his disciples to feed the people. All right? And that comes down there with him, and that's a good point as well. When hopefully the churches in Houston don't decide that we need to do less because the residents are getting $500. You have to remember that, as Jesus said, you feed them, and our responsibility is to take care of them who need it or who want it. Let's not put that out there always, because what was put here after Jesus preached to the 5,000, he told the disciples to feed them. Doesn't mean that some of them didn't have funds or food themselves, but it's our responsibility to take care of those. To take care of others. And so, back to the issue at hand is, all right. So Houston, y'all have this opportunity. Y'all have this program where everyone who is under the poverty line, 200% below the poverty line, is going to get $500 a month. What do we do in order to support that? Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think that's the opportunity to come in there now is to do more. You have people with 18 months. You got 18 months. You got just $500. As the community of faith, I think we need to come in there and make sure that we know we got 18 months to educate you to do the right thing, to help you save, to help you double up whatever that money is going to be, and hopefully have an opportunity to get yourself out of poverty. So whether you agree with the $500, because I honestly think that $500 is not going to do anything for most people. I don't think that's I look at the program and I think that there's better ways to use the money. But regardless, if that's the way that people and the professionals think that it's going to work, then I'm all for it. And we need to support that, or especially the people in Houston need to support that. And the fundamental question is, do you give people money or do we give people assistance? Do we give people money or do we give people assistance? And I dare say we give them whatever they need. Some people need money. Some people are smart. They know what to do with their money. Money, a little bit of money is just what they need. And other times, I think it's the assistance. We don't need to put money in certain people's hands. You haven't been making good decisions with your money before. You may not make good decisions with your money now. I think that's why it's important that big organizations, as it was said, are not the ones to be making these decisions. There has to be local churches, local organizations, small groups, and things like that, because we're able to touch people and know, what do you need? What does each individual person need? You have 18 months for people to figure out how to scam the people out of $500. Absolutely, and that's going to be big. That's always going to be big. You're going to have the predators coming out there trying to get that money off of these folks, and many of them will succeed. You trick them, fool them, whatever. You're going to have 18 months to scam these folks out of their money. And again, that's where the church and the community of faith comes in. We need to help out. We need to assist. We need to, help people utilize those funds to the best of their ability. And so, Houston, Harris County, I think y'all are doing, I think you're doing a great thing because you're doing something. And I think you're doing a great thing because you're trying to be creative with it. And many places have dealt and wrestled with the idea of a minimum amount of money that we can provide people with. Our country can definitely afford it. So don't think that for a second that we can't. We spend money on a lot of other things, like a ridiculous amount of weapons across the whole entire world, so that people can kill one another. I think we can put a little bit of money on the table so that people can eat, so that people can live. So, I'm right in support of trying new things. And so let's do that. And one of the things that we also have to remember is don't be jealous. That's what people always do. They sometimes they get jealous. They sit back and they say, "Oh man, these folk they're getting $500 free where I have to go work and do such and such. I gotta work 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, and just to make it ends meet." Okay, you want to trade? Always say you want to trade places with them. You so jealous of that $500 free that they're getting, or as they say. then why don't you stop working and you switch places with them and see how happy it is when you don't have the place that you live or the vehicle that you may have or the opportunity to go eat wherever you want to eat. So don't get jealous when somebody gets a little bit of something, or a lot of something. Just if you're not trying to switch places with them, then stop. Don't complain. All right. Well, that was it. Right to it. This is one that I would hope that you would look into, because this is not the only place where uh, this minimum uh, living wage is occurring. This isn't the first time this idea has popped up. It was big back in 2020 when the pandemic was going on. It's kind of died down now, but that's always it's always been around, as far as, hey, maybe we need to just make sure that everybody has just a little bit of something. And if it works, and some research studies have shown that there are different places where they've done programs like this for a little bit of time. If it works, then let's get it done and let's do it. But let's not let that the two things is, let's not let that deter from what we need to be doing, because this housing issue is not getting better, it's getting worse. And let's not be someone who blocks other folk from getting, whatever little bit that they need to get. And so when it comes down to, not being super political, but when it comes down to, who are you, voting for and electing and all of this kind of stuff, don't elect somebody who's going to be, in the best words of the young people, a hater, who's going to sit back here and say, well, they don't need this and they don't need that. They don't need food, supplements. They don't need this and they don't. We got it. We got the money. Let's do it. Let's help people as much as we can. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is a brief, but right to the point. As always, we want to remind that on Thursdays, we have our Bible study, Thursday, 7 o'clock here on Facebook and YouTube. On Sundays, 10 o'clock, we have service. And so please join us. And 7 o'clock on Tuesdays, we have prayer, 7 to 7:45. So please pray with us. And of course, you can check us out on our, webpage, or if you want to, for the prayer, you can send your prayers through the phone number. All right. And then, as always, Impact 2024, come join us each week as we discuss these topics and we delve into the different things that are going on into the world. Thank you for joining us. Have a good one. And please feel free to join us again. Have a good one.